Hello, Feasters. You're listening to The Sporting Feast with Scobes and Kingy. We are reviewing the action from the weekend beginning Friday, the 12th of March. This is the pass-fail episode. We're going to take a look at what teams either passed or failed. I'm Brendan Scoble. As always, Richard King joins me. Richard?
Hello, Scobes. Hello, Feasters. Hope everyone had a good weekend. It is pouring rain in Brisbane.
Bit chilly. You got the hoodie, mate.
Yes, it's starting to get to winter. I love the cold, though.
Oh, so do I. That's what we need. And it also signifies the footy coming back.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of that typical London-esque weather, soft rain, 10 to 15 degrees.
No, I don't like the rain. I like the Brisbane chill in the morning, sunny, but 18, and then chilly back down at night.
But that's challenging because obviously you got to be mindful of how you dress.
I'm shorts year round, mate. Doesn't matter. I'm not getting let into shorts. Too many clubs. Yeah, safety shorts. Well played. All right, Richard, let's get straight into the autopsy.
Big stinker.
Yeah, it's terrible from us. 0 for 4, and you 0 for 2. You want to talk about yours?
Forbidden Love wasn't very good.
Bad ride.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was going to get there anyway.
I think it would have. At least a place.
Yeah, well,
It went for the same run as Ice Bath, and I just think it was a bad ride.
Nash Rawiller.
You're very easy on jockeys.
Oh, I've been told differently.
Maybe not when you're at the track.
I just didn't think it was going to get there. There were other horses doing better at that stage, and then even afterwards I thought there were other horses doing better. Nash Rawiller also rode a shocker earlier on Mirage Dancer, which my brother tells me was a certainty.
Okay.
Beaten. And as for Connor Watson, so he came on for Kurtman. He gave a great pill, great assist for a try, but unfortunately couldn't get over himself. They looked very dangerous in that second half, and he just didn't get one. One thing I'll say, though, is if you keep taking Connor Watson anytime try score at $5 every round, you are going to end up with some massive profit.
I agree with you, but I want him starting every game if he's going to be taking $5.
Well, he is. So
yeah, he will.
With Kurt Mann injured, he'll definitely start. I can promise you he'll be starting the next few weeks with Kurt Mann done for probably 4 to 6 weeks and everything else going on. But that was my two.
Mine, Jason Day, top 30. He was tied 12th after the first round, in the 20s in the second, in the 20s in the third, and only needed to shoot one under the Monday morning and went one over, so he finished in a tie for 35th, I believe, so just outside. Heartbreak there. And my 3-leg value multi, both the Rugby Union, the Rebels and England got it done, covered just enough of that line, and the Dogs against the Knights with the plus 5.5. The Dogs are horrendous. That is the last time they'll feature in anything unless I can take them.
Opposite.
Unless they're giving plus 74.5 points, I'm not taking them at all. So, sorry about that, Feasters. We'll try and turn things around this weekend.
Let's hope so.
Richard, you've got some info around AFL tipping and our special guest.
Yes, so obviously the tipping comp will go live for AFL this Thursday. Now, the Sporting Feast, you get to run our account. We discuss this offline just before. It's not a good advert with the Sporting Feast currently in 55th position in the NRL tipping comp, but I can assure you that is away teams.
Yep.
And the first game to be won by 7. So hopefully we'll see a bit of a change to that. How do you reckon I'll put you in charge, Brendan, of the AFL Sporting Feast tipping account. What are we thinking?
So we've decided that we're going to go, instead of away teams, we're taking every underdog.
Every underdog. Okay.
Every underdog as the Sporting Feast handle in that tipping comp.
Margin?
We'll take a goal.
6 points.
6 points every week.
Seems too easy. Maybe can we try something different?
What, you want something looser?
Yeah.
Like as in margin-wise?
19.
19?
Like the Keno. Is it Keno? 19. Lotto.
Underdogs winning by 3+ goals every week. Okay.
Something. Think about it. You only got to do it in one game, though. Remember?
Yeah, that's true. It's always the marquee game on the Thursday or Friday.
Sorry, our special guest, Sebastian Windsor, Sebalicious, will be coming on. We record that episode on Tuesday this week, and that'll be dropped on Wednesday. That's all things AFL. If you would like to ask Seb any questions, please write into us, info@thesportingfeast, or touch base with us via Instagram or Facebook. He's still currently playing in the local Brisbane leagues here, so he's got a lot to cover. Good
stuff. Looking forward to that one. Richard, let's get into the headlines and the golf. The Players' Championship taken out by Justin Thomas, -14. One-shot victory from Lee Westwood. Back-to-back runner-ups for him, so he's in good form. Best placed Aussie was Cameron Smith at -7. My tip, Morikawa, going no good. He was about 12 back, but we did both mention JT, so hopefully the Feasters disregarded my first tip and got on the second. Next tournament, Honda Classics from the PGA National Champion course in Florida. Anything to add there, Richard?
No, I think he covered it.
Spiethy, nothing.
Well, he got through. He got a bubble. He'll get a paycheck.
Yeah, paycheck and a decent paycheck for finishing mid-table in golf these days. On to the horse racing. Just recap the big races we previewed. All-Star Mile won by Mugger 2, beating Russian Camelot in some pretty average conditions there at Moonee Valley.
Geez, the Queenslanders were up and about on the turn for the Harrovian.
Oh, yeah.
Very
it was
honest
there and
effort.
thereabout.
Yeah.
Mugger 2 looked like it was going to win from about 600 out, just whether it could get a run, though. Huey Bowman, I think, got it done there. Crone took out the Coolmore Classic at Rose Hill, beating Mizzy and Dame Giselle. Mizzy there again, mate.
Oh, I was going to say, what's that?
We said this last week, the Feasters, if you get on Mizzy, it's crazy odds. Maybe you're the key. Maybe you put it in, take it to the bank, and if it loses, then all the Feasters get on the 3 weeks after, because it seems to have done a good job. We might preview a bit of Group 1 racing this weekend with the Golden Slipper coming up.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero!
Richard, I'm looking forward to your EPL review from the weekend. What do you got for us?
Well, this is the first opportunity we can go through the pass-fail. Big derby in London played Sunday evening, Monday morning, Australian time. Arsenal v Spurs. Spurs fail, and fail again. This was a very important fixture for them.
Result 2-1 Arsenal.
Result 2-1 Arsenal. Controversy. Arsenal penalty where the defender from Tottenham, I would say the challenge came after the attempt on goal, and they've still awarded a penalty. I thought they were pretty harshly done by. Spurs went ahead 1-0. Fantastic goal from Lamela Urbano. But then he decided to get red carded, elbowed a guy in the head, which is probably not the best thing to do. Then Martin Odegaard scored in the 44th minute. That was a deflection, pretty unlucky on Hugo Lloris. And then Lacazette converted from the penalty spot that we just spoke about in the 64th. So Arsenal won 2-1. Harry Kane had a shot at the end that hit the post, but that's 3 points lost. And just for Feasters, the last 2 games they've had the last 2 EPL fixtures where they've played a Europa game the previous Friday, they've lost both games. So that's 6 points they've thrown away. 2 teams they lost to were West Ham and Arsenal.
Yeah,
both on the road.
Size, yeah.
Both with some quality. Begs the question, does Jose need to shuffle the deck a little bit more come Europa? United squeaked past Hammers quite literally 1-0. I've got them as a conceded pass. Hammers went there looking to get a point. It was a foul because they had no intention of scoring, which is disappointing because they're set up
They scored 1.
Yes, well, I'm about to get to that. And the header was seriously a textbook header. Fantastic finish, just a shame was it was into his own goal. And he was facing that way too. I hate defenders where they think like something magically must have gone wrong when they're facing the wrong way and they head the ball into their own net.
They've got to know better, right?
It was a great finish. The big pass for me was Brighton beating Southampton on the road. That game also went over 2.5 goals, Scobes.
There you go. You wanted over... Did you take over 2.5? Did you take over 3.5?
No, I didn't.
Well, lucky you didn't.
Yes, I know, but there could have been 4 or 5 other goals in that. Something had to go right for them. Brighton missed a few. Danny Welbeck was awesome for them. He's an ex-United, ex-Arsenal player. He was very good on the ball there and created plenty of chances for them. So very important 3 points for Brighton. In regards to the Champions League, this week we've got leg 2s going on. City host Mönchengladbach. Real Madrid host Atalanta from there in the Serie A. Bayern Munich host Lazio, another Serie A football team, and Chelsea host Atletico with the slightest of margins. That Chelsea Atletico is probably the pick of those four fixtures. Chelsea coming back home 1-0. Atletico have Luis Suarez. What you used to call him? The biter?
Yeah, or bite. I can't remember.
Munchie.
Munchie.
They've got some very good players on their side of things. It's a tricky game. If you're looking at teams to progress, you'd trust City over Mönchengladbach, obviously. Real Madrid should get the chocolates over Atlanta. Bayern Munich should knock over Lazio. And Tuchel hasn't lost yet. So if that happens again, they go through. So you'd take Chelsea there. However, they do have a history of choking at Stamford Bridge in the knockout games.
Fair enough. Just one quickly back on the EPL, we should have mentioned the Everton-Burnley game. We previewed that because it had ramifications for the ladder. So Burnley took care of Everton 2-1. Burnley 7 clear of relegation now. And Everton 5 back from Chelsea with a horrendous goal difference.
Yeah, points lost there. Obviously, Burnley is stoked. Massive for them. And Everton ruining the missed opportunity.
Exactly. A-League, Richard?
Central Coast gained another point. So that means they move to 25 points on top of the table with Adelaide a game behind and 6 points behind on 19. Melbourne City is probably, in terms of power rankings, Melbourne City is Central Coast, your top 2. Melbourne City are third, currently on 18 points, and they've got 2 games in hand. So if they took maximum points, the best they can get to is 24 points. From a Brisbane Roar perspective, they lose another tight one. They lost 1-0 to Western United with a late goal to Western United in approximately the 74th minute there. Game was very open. Both sides had chances. And unfortunately, sloppy defending at the back stick. Ball watching, we call that.
Ball watching.
Essentially watching the ball, not watching the guy who you're supposed to be guarding or marking in this case. He just snuck through at the back stick. It was a diving header. Very good finish from the West United player. So they took all 3 points there. One team to keep an eye on that no one's talking about at the moment is the West Sydney Wanderers. If you're following A-League, slowly starting to accumulate and climb the ladder. I'd say 3 weeks ago they were in that 10th, 11th spot. Nothing was going right. They had a lot of depth. They couldn't string any results together. They're now 6th, and they play on Monday night against Wellington Phoenix. If they win that, they can go to 2nd.
That's not a try, that's a miracle.
Let's get into some rugby league, Richard. This is the main course, as we like to say. No major upsets in the first round. Favourites tended to dominate. Unusual for round 1. Normally there's a big upset or two. My take on the overall round, it's a small sample size, so don't get carried away either way. But we tend to overreact, which, you've got to do as media people we are, Richard.
I'm not throwing us in that. When do you... Okay, so you said 1 week's not enough.
Yeah.
When do you start?
I think 4's the right sample size, but teams that drop 2 in a row are in trouble early. So I think two's enough to rule teams out of the 8. Rule teams out of the competition. Win. Maybe they can scrape in the 8, but you start on 2. I don't really, unless you've had a really tough draw. Like, I'm not sure who Souths have this week, but if you're on 2 and you're against Melbourne and Para, it's not as bad as being 0-2 going down to the Titans and Manly. So that's kind of my wrap on what took my... I've got a whole bunch of notes here. Richard, where did you want to start?
So South, are on the road to Manly. So one would assume they should take care of Manly. So I've got a number of segments within the NRL title, if you want to call it that. First one's winners and fizzers. So teams who perform very well over the weekend versus teams who drop the ball and laid an egg. I think the obvious option here is New Zealand Warriors.
As a pass winner?
No, as a winner. Massively.
As a winner, yep.
We'll get to pass fail.
Oh, sorry, the second segment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And they were fantastic. Essentially, they strangled Gold Coast and didn't give them many opportunities to be creative in what they did. It was the football version of parking the bus.
Yeah.
And then when they had an opportunity, they created scoring opportunities. And Nathan Brown should be credited in the coaching staff.
Yeah, he was under a bit of pressure coming into this season because everyone thought that they could have done a better job getting coached. On the flip side of that, the Titans have to be a fizzer.
I've got them in there, yes.
Yeah, because they were putting together the roster. They got the big forward names in. Holbrook in his second year. They were favourites. New Zealand camped out in Australia. I really think they needed to take care of the Warriors side, put them down as a fizzer.
Well, we'll cover the Gold Coast Titans in another segment I've called Fanzone. I've got in that little segment there as well, in that little grouping of fizzers, Manly. Yeah. They were flat out awful.
The Roosters are a hot side, but they were terrible.
The try that Angus Crichton scored where Daly Cherry Evans looked as uninterested in playing football as possible really stood out to me and showed a bit of a concern there. They gave up.
That was what the...
Roosters 46, Manly 4. Crichton scored with about 10 minutes to go.
70th minute.
Yeah, so again, the game was over, but surely DC probably needs to do a better job there, and the Cowboys. And,
they were average.
But the thing is, if you lose to a team like Penrith, who, safe to say, are now very good, and were very good last year, it was chalked up as a loss before the game, most people believe. But the problem is the manner and the method in which they lost that game was pretty bad.
I agree with that. Not being able to score a point, I mean... The Panthers have phenomenal defence, so I don't think you're going to see too many sides
it's just the drop ball, the inability to get repeat sets, the inability to put any pressure on. And obviously Todd Payten's changing things up, so Jason Tomalolo's not going to play 80 minutes anymore by the looks of it. He's looking at maybe 2 stints, and so he can play for his 7-year contract, as Todd Payten keeps saying.
An interesting point about that is that Tamalolo, when they had their premiership run, wasn't playing 80 minutes either. So that's what Todd Payten's trying to get back to. What did you make of his press conference? He kind of called Tamalolo out a little bit for not chasing a kicker.
Oh, he spoke well. Todd Payten's, everything that you read and everything that people talk about, he prides himself on accountability, and he'll eyeball people when they drop the ball.
He must have awareness around Tamalolo being able to handle that, because some superstars wouldn't be able to handle being called out first year, first game, press conference by a new coach. So obviously he's done his homework and he's putting the rest of the team on notice that I'm going to call out our superstars. You're sure as hell going to get called out if you're a fringe player.
And sorry, this is interesting. I'll just bring this up now. Pat Collins, our cricket expert, loves rugby league, big Canberra Raiders fan. He must be watching an NRL show at the moment. And I know we just spoke about Manly. He just said 7 tries were scored down Kieran Foran's side on the weekend. I wonder if Souths are aware of that this week when they play Melbourne.
They are.
When they play Manly.
Do you think it was strange they went back to Foran?
Well, Desi Hasler's got a relationship with him.
Yeah,
I just don't. The second time.
Yeah, and I just don't think he's the result. He's old. He's sort of injury prone. I just think it was a strange decision to go back him as your starting 6.
Now, Scopes, next segment, pass fail. That is the title of today's episode. So again, pass fail, where you've got to give this team a pass mark or a foul mark and a bit of justification. Scopes, first up, Parramatta.
Pass, but only because of the victory. So they come back from 16-0 down, which is a good result no matter who you're playing, but they were playing the Broncos, and they dropped a ton of ball in the first half. So they get a pass, but barely.
I don't know.
2 points on the road. Broncos are always going to be up for it for round 1. That Broncos have talent. It's just they lack composure at certain stages. I mean, if you look at that break Brodie Croft made towards the end, all he had to do is put it on the chest for, I forget who scored, and he dropped the ball. So I just think if you get a win, round 1, move on, you get a pass.
Speaking of composure, Mitchell Moses was quite good in the last 10 minutes there. He forced a dropout and his kick from the touchline there.
Yeah, 4 from 4.
Second team, Brisbane Broncos.
Broncos also get a pass. No one's expecting them to do any damage in the whole competition. The Eels have had the absolute wood over them the last 2 games. I think by the tune of about 100 points, so only going down by 8 is a pretty decent result. They were up 16-0. Once again, a bit of composure and a bit more nous around game management, kicking the ball out. You know late in games that teams are going to be tired because of the way the game is refereed now. So I think putting the ball over the sideline and resetting your defence is a good result, even if it costs you 15 metres.
Game management is going to be quite important moving forward through the season, no doubt. Third team, West Tigers, who lost to Canberra on Sunday.
It's so tricky, Ben, round 1. It's very hard. No one was expecting the win. Canberra I have as almost title favourites. So we'll give them a fail. They got pumped by 24, but it's not a big fail.
Luke Brooks was average at best. Moses Mbai gives nothing.
I've got Luke Brooks in my notes here. I saw a social media comment: 150 games, 8 seasons in. This is his limit. He's not getting any better.
Which is a concern.
Yeah, so if you're the Tigers, you should move on from him, right?
Well, I guess they made the call with Benji, and Benji looks more attacking than Luke Brooks is. But again, the argument is what's your 6 compared to what's your 7. Moses and Byte 100% gives them nothing. The Lalua brothers on the left-hand side, now that BJ Lalua's moved to the left, he's just looking for a fight. I love watching him play, though, because something silly is about to happen. Even if he scores, it's going to be silly. And you got Luciano inside him.
I've got notes from that game, the Raiders-West Tigers. Raiders clinical, plenty of improvement in them. Joey Leilua, most overrated player in the competition.
Was he ever rated to start with?
Yeah, well, he gets big money. He's a big signing. He was their big marquee drawcard. He's overrated. He's not stable in the head. He costs his team, and he's not fit. Why would you have him in your side? He'd be I don't know what Q Cup, or New South Wales Cup team feeder team there is, but he should be playing for
West Magpies he'd get to play for.
Well, there you go.
That's Kevin, the McGuinness brothers, bring them back. Scandalous.
Maguire, I imagine, won't stand for non-accountability. So if he keeps letting in tries and he looks unfit to me, I mean, it's a tough game playing 90 minutes in the centres. He's a big dude, but got to get fitter and more accountable.
Last one, the reffing.
What part of the reffing?
Let's go with an overall.
Overall, we'll go fail.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll go fail. I just think they can do a lot better job, the referees. Jesse Ramian, did you see that?
I did not, but you're about to tell me.
So Jesse Ramian put a cheap shot on Matt Duffy, ended up getting sin bin. It was a shoulder to the back of the head when he was stood up in tackle already. That should have been a straight red card.
So send off.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me, send off. Mixing my my codes there. There's the 6 again ruling. It seems to be a lottery about when and how that's applied. If you have 4 people pile on and they get off one by one, it could take 3 or 4 seconds, and that's not given. But if one person is holding a player down, it's just too inconsistent. But we'll just leave it for 4 weeks and see how it plays out, because the teams will adapt and adjust, and so will the referees.
You can't give them a foul, Mark. You're the one who loves the refs. They're doing exactly what they've been
No,
told.
I can give them a foul, but I'm just not going to abuse them the way the players and the fans do. But
and myself, yours
and
truly.
Richard, yeah, I can be constructive criticism.
Fair enough. Now, the next little segment I've got is Fanzone. So, Feasters, if you do want to write into the Sporting Feast and have your say in regards to a particular team, please do so. Again, info@thesportingfeast.com or via Instagram or Facebook. I've been able to get in touch with 2 Feasters in regards to the Rugby League. The first Feaster is Dan McGuinney, who comes from Redcliffe, mad Penrith Panther fan, as well as Washington National Football Team and Tottenham Hotspur. So he's obviously riding the Gareth Bale train at the moment. I simply got in touch with him and asked him about Penrith's performance on Saturday night and where he sees them going. His comments were plenty of room for improvement from the boys. Nathan Cleary was absolutely clinical. Spencer Lenu will have a massive year off the bench after turning down a contract from Melbourne. In my opinion, all the mugs who said they haven't improved are kidding themselves. They legitimately have only lost James Tarmo and Josh Mansour, both on the ends of their careers, and they got Momorowski and Eisenhuth instead. I would be in shock if they do not finish top 2, which is a bold statement for me. And then he said, we'll put 40 on the Dogs. Mind you, that's shouldn't be too hard.
Look, Q Cup Dolphins have put 40 on the Dogs. They are absolutely horrendous. I watched that game. Don't even get me started on them. As for his comment about all the mugs saying that they haven't improved, you're in a 1-game sample against the Cowboys, who I'm sure he doesn't have in the 8, or almost everyone doesn't have the Cowboys in the 8. So let's pump the brakes on him calling people mugs for not putting Panthers up the top. I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I'll apologise to him directly if the Panthers go on to come top 2, but it's too small a sample size.
And I've got to be honest, Penrith, it's well recorded and well documented, my thoughts on Penrith last year. They look like a team who's got unfinished business. I got to see a little bit of the footy show on Sunday as well. It's clear that we talked about pass-fail. They failed in that grand final. Not so much because they lost it, but the way in which they lost it. They didn't turn up for 60 minutes. And they only lost by 6. They've got a very well-balanced roster. Scary part is they probably left 20 points out there on Saturday night. I was a massive fan of every try they scored, how they got around each other. They're having fun.
Yeah,
they're very fun football
they're a great
team
side, and I'm not downplaying how good they could be. We made a prediction at the start of the season they might drop down the ladder, but their game style is a bona fide, proven top 4 style of footy, and if they can do that week in, week out, they'll be in the top 4.
Couldn't agree more with you. The next one, this is from Ryan Kerr, who is a diehard Gold Coast Titans fan. We don't really get many Gold Coast Titans fans,
isn't he?
Feasters, he is a diehard Man City fan. And I promised him that if they win the Champions League, we'll get him on the show.
Oh, he's going to get a bit of airtime.
If they win the Champions League. Don't care about any of the others.
Okay, so the EPL title doesn't matter.
No, they won that 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
He calls this the weight, W-A-I-T, versus the weight of expectation. Arguably, there has never been so much excitement and hype for an upcoming Titans season. In the off-season, Steve Mitchell, the Titans CEO, quickly used our star recruits to cement in existing relationships and bring in new ones. A raft of new sponsors and huge marketing campaigns saw the weight of expectation grow across league fans. I love the new Titans feeling, I love the expectation, I love the off-field work, and I loved our recruitment. The longer the wait, though, the weight of expectations just grew. Fast forward to game day round 1. Contrary to some Titans fans, I personally did not feel overly confident, especially when some bright NRL minds around me were tipping the Warriors. By halftime, I was hurting and frustrated with what I saw. I was asked by a mate, how would you describe that half? Toothless was my response. As the game progressed, I proceeded to sweat further. I saw myself trying to talk myself out of just another Titans year. In the end, you simply cannot give away so many errors, which was 15 errors in total. Every time we had any momentum, a foolish error killed any possible chance of scoring. I personally don't buy the heat excuse being touted across fan groups and media. The team is based on the Gold Coast. That's a pretty fair point when you think about not to mention in Queensland, when you think about the weather up here. I am also less forgiving towards the player group, and I hope Justin Holbrook is as well. Pound them on the park this week, Justin! ! Gone are the days where the Gold Coast is a retirement village and party central. A lot of people are already saying it's only round 1 or only 4% of the season. I don't see any top club accepting that mediocre comment, and I want to believe Titans fans embrace the expectations rather than make excuses. Unlike some other pundits, I'll give Dave Fafita a week off this week after finding out he's been in hospital and unwell. I'll have a close eye on him this week, though, in person. I do question why Justin Holbrook played him, though, considering they've got the Broncos this week as well. No point looking back. Let's look forward. The good news, it can be reconciled. I expect a very tough game against a competitive Kevy Walters side. I want to see a more polished and less clunky performance. A win is the only result I accept. Thank you, Ryan. I'll tell you what, when I read that the first time, quite comprehensive, and that's what we want from our fans in Fanzone. So, Feasters, if you've got something similar that you want to talk about and write into us about a particular team across codes, please make sure you get in touch with us. Titans, your thoughts, Scobes?
Look, I agree. I can't disagree with too much what he's saying there. I'm giving Fafita a very short rope, given the way he left the Broncos and some of his questionable commitment when he was up there. Small sample size. I keep going back to that, and I think it's going to ring true. You'll know after 4 weeks if the Titans are legitimate. They finished the year really well last year, so I imagine they're going to probably be better in the back half. And with new players and new combinations coming in, it really does take a number of weeks to click because they didn't play that many trial games. They don't want to take on too much contact in the preseason. Another one, too, is we don't know how much work the coaches are putting into players fitness-wise. Some coaches like to flog them pre-season, have them tuned up from game one. Some of the other teams like building throughout the year, and they have flat spots during the year when they're putting more work in during the year. So unless you know those ins and outs, it's very hard on one-game basis to write a team off or really put them into the 8.
Well, they killed my perfect week. But the second thing was, we gave Warriors a pass mark. They've rarely trained with each other prior to that game because they were still trying to work out their bubble situation. The Titans are coming off a very good finish to season 2020, and fair enough they didn't win, but the performance is the question mark. You can't drop 15 balls in that heat.
True. The good thing is they only gave up 19. If they'd lost 48-20, that'd be a lot worse than a 19-6.
And absolutely, that's a win. However, in saying that, I will question. I don't think the Warriors are going to be putting too many points on many teams moving forward. So Titans obviously a big game against the Broncos in that derby this week. Now, tipping comp results, Scobes.
Yeah, Richard, very strange week. Well, it's the first week, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But with the favourites getting up and only one outsider, we've got 3 winners to the tipping comp, all whom picked a perfect round and the same margin in the Thursday night game. Don't know their real names. I only know one of them, sorry. So we've got Bronze Wing, 14 Big Bear, and Lance Charles. Now, I know Lance Charles. That's a good mate of mine, Alana Lane Mullins. Sorry, I was about to give her maiden name out there. So she was part of that. But the other 2, we'll reach out to you on email, get your real name and give you a shout-out and real name if wanted. And if not, we'll get the prizes out to you.
And congratulations. That's obviously, and you'll be getting a nice little prize from us. And each week, Feasters, we'll be going through the table a little bit more in depth. Unfortunately, the Sporting Feast title is currently 55th, as I said earlier, but I've got a feeling, just looking at the round 2 get fixtures, that the Sporting Feast might climb a little bit this week.
Fair enough. Notable mention too, Muso tipped the round, but a little bit out on the margin there. So
they do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Richard, basketball, and we're back from the All-Star break.
We are. Now, Brendan, what are you looking forward to in the second half of the season?
The playoffs. Is that too blunt?
You've been a big fan of It's Always Been Too Long.
Yeah, well, you get 16 teams making the playoffs. It's just too much for me. Really only 3 sides, or maybe the West you get 4 or 5, can make the championship games. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I want to see, as you mentioned in a previous episode, if someone starts to tank or if teams start to tweak their roster accordingly.
Well, I'll be surprised if Houston win 5 games or more this.
Do you think they trade Oladipo?
Well, yeah, we'll see if it's a good enough deal for them, a sweet enough deal for them.
Well, he looks like he wants to leave anyway, so you either trade him now or get nothing for him later.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Scobes, 2 things I wanted to talk about. Indiana Pacers split those 2 games that we spoke about with them on the weekend. Caris LeVert returned, so that's a big in for them. They lost a close one to the Lakers and then beat Phoenix. The other team I wanted to talk about, Brendan, was the Atlanta Hawks and Feaster Adam Vanderlyn. Shout out to you, Vando, up north. He's super spreading the Sporting Feast in Mackay. Has a question for you.
For me?
For you, Brendan. First and foremost, did you know Trae Young's real name is Rayford?
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that either.
I just call him Trizzy.
Scobes mentioned a week ago, and when he says a week, I'm guessing probably a few weeks ago, that the Hawks are not a very good team. 5 wins in a row. Does he have a different opinion now? Question mark.
Well, I probably should clarify, not a good team. Not a good team to me is not challenging for top seeds in either conference.
Top seed or top
seed.
seeds? So what's considered a top seed to you?
Top
Top
four.
four. So
Top
that
four
means...
for me.
So in the NBA, there is 30 teams. So that means there's 22 teams who aren't good.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, if you're not challenging, okay.
Yeah. So they're not challenging, and for me, they're in the first year of what I would consider maybe a 3-year operation. They've brought in some new pieces. They're building around Trae Young, obviously. They play up-tempo ball with a lot of threes, which seems to be common in the NBA. But they really need to lock down their defense. They do give up a fair few points. And the top sides, when the pressure is on, they bring the rotation down, won't give up as many points.
So they've got games coming up against Houston and OKC, which are very winnable. They then play the Lakers for a bit of an acid test. So you're still not believing in the Hawkies?
Not as a title contender, no way.
I'm not saying a title contender, but a good... You at the moment
Okay,
saying they're not good.
If a good team is... If the balance is 500, then they're a good team because they'll probably end up the year over 500. But when I say good team, I mean like competitive, pushing for those top 4 seeds, maybe do some damage in the playoffs. They're not one of those. Do you disagree?
Oh, I think they'll do some damage in the playoffs.
Right, okay.
I
So what seed do you think they'll get?
I wouldn't want to play them.
What seed do you think they'll end up then?
Well, I haven't thought that far ahead, but if you do not want to play the Hawks. They've got playoff Rondo. You've got Bogdanovic. Gallinari, they play 8-9 deep. Nate McMillan is a very good defensive-minded coach, so I reckon he'll be changing up some things there. They've got Capella, Herter, who can shoot lights out. You made some really good points about their scoring, but as I also do agree with you, their defense needs to tighten up as well.
Thanks for writing in. What do we call them, Vanders?
Adam Vanderlyn.
Okay, thanks for writing in. And look, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm a Miami Heat man, so maybe if we can get a 4-5 matchup there, that'll be an interesting first round.
Now, Scobes, NBL Cup. It's finished. I know you're heartbroken about it.
I'm gutted.
Congratulations, and I put up a social media tag through Instagram on the weekend. Congratulations to Perth, who won the NBL Cup, so they're $150,000 richer. They were getting spanked against Adelaide on Sunday, down 20+, came back and won easily. That's how Perth are just rolling at the moment. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix picked up all 7 possible points in the NBL Cup fixture against New Zealand yesterday, so they leapfrogged the Bullets and moved into second, so they get $100,000, and the Bullets ran third, collecting a nice $50,000. So they were your top 3 there. It was a good competition, and more importantly, it was a good spectacle for basketball. So now that's finished, we go back to the regular season, and obviously a little bit closer to the finals. Now, there was big news that dropped on Monday. The New Zealand Breakers have let go Lamar Patterson, and the Brisbane Bullets have picked him up. Now, on top of that, the Brisbane Bullets, as a result, have let go Orlando Johnson. This is a huge win for the Bullets. For
the Feasters and possibly co-hosts who don't know Orlando Johnson, he's what position?
He's a small forward, 2-3 guard, 2-3.
Similar to
Lamar
Patterson.
Lamar's probably more of a 3-4, but he's a scorer. Orlando Johnson didn't really create a lot for himself. And when you've got a guy like Sobe and Vic Law there, you need but you've got someone else.
Third option.
Orlando Johnson just used to sit in the corner and shoot from there. But
the PJ Tucker option.
But you didn't get a lot out of him for an import. You need to be getting a lot more out of people than that.
Just on that, can you imagine PJ Tucker's heat map? It'd just be glowing in the corners.
Short
Classic.
corner 3. Now, New Zealand Breakers will call up Levi Randolph, who has spent some time in the G League. So that's their change there. I watched New Zealand play, so Corey Webster's out for a little bit of time with an injury. The Breakers have also signed Jeremy Kendall. So a few changes around the NBL there. This is a big play for the Bullets. So hopefully Lamar Patterson can get fit and healthy because he's currently injured at the moment. The fit part, when he is fit, is dangerous as all hell, and the Bullets will be a tough out if they get him playing well. They've showed glimpses of being a very good team in the NBL, in the NBL Cup, Yet again, they're scoring points for fun, but they did leak way too many against the Sydney Kings side, who pretty much embarrassed them in the second half there. Just, this could be a pubs full, but, so you've got a team who's going really well in the Brisbane Bullets. So they played the New Zealand Breakers this weekend. some muppet has decided to schedule this game at the exact same time as the Brisbane Lions Sydney Swans game in Brisbane as well. And yes, I'm not talking about logistically.
So is it Nissan Arena?
Yeah, Nissan Arena.
Right.
Which is, I'd say, probably a 20-minute drive between Nissan Arena and the Gabba.
Yeah.
But why? Like, why could you not put this on a Sunday? Why could you not?
If it was in New Zealand, you could give it a pass because the New Zealand home game is going to put it on whenever they're...
Well, they can't. I don't even know what's going to...
So I don't mean...
Yeah.
Well, I know they're not playing New Zealand, but what I'm getting at, if it's a Brisbane home game, then it's very strange to put it up against the Lions.
But even from a spectator perspective, because the Bronx play Friday, give the Lions the Saturday, you just take the Sunday slot.
Yeah, of course.
A 2:00 Sunday, which is family friendly, I guess. But I just couldn't believe that. Muppets.
Not to mention you're a Swans man.
And yeah, Scobes, that was it.
You're nearly tipping that Swans Brisbane game?
Lions by 20,000 goals. But one thing I will say, and I spoke to Hamo, he will be getting in touch with us with power rankings post NBL Cup. John Mooney's been awesome for Perth Wildcats. He's been doing some great things for there. They did lose Nick Kay, who was fantastic for them. They haven't lost a thing with John Mooney. Perth Wildcats, deserving winners of the NBL Cup. Melbourne United dropped the ball a little bit when it came to the NBL Cup. They were missing Goulding, but they're still a very quality team. The Hawks, I said on Thursday's episode, it was a big week for them. They needed to step up a little bit, and they clean swept the weekend, beating Sydney and beating Melbourne. Their gun, Tyler Harvey, I spoke to a feaster, shout out to you, Willow, who actually used to guard against him. He used to play against him in college basketball. He said he's extremely fast, and he also said that he's got a quick trigger. So good luck guarding him, essentially. So that's why he's getting... And when he shoots from the car park.
Does he?
Yeah.
Bit of dame time.
And because he is wiry, he's very slight built. When he gets past you run into him, the ability for him to draw contact and get to the free throw line. So he's a fantastic player.
Does he knock the free throws down?
Yes, he does. Okay. Except the game against Sydney, I saw at one stage he was 2 of 6. So not that day, but he's been scoring for fun. There was
Tyler.
Well, there was a little period there where he was getting double teamed, and they made other players on the Hawks team beat him. But they won their last 2 games, and pretty important week for them to get back on track.
Rugby union time, Richard. And before we get into the results of Super Rugby, I think it's fair we announce another guest that we're going to have on next week. You excited, Richard?
Well, I'm not a rugby fan, but this is... Oh, sorry. I am a rugby fan, but not an enthusiast. And this is awesome.
Yeah, thanks to one of our feasters out there. I'll name him in due course. He's put the connection through. We are getting on next week none other than former Wallaby and Wallaby captain James Hall. He's currently playing club rugby over in England, so we're going to be doing a phone hookup or a Skype hookup or some sort of technical hookup there. So hopefully that's all in play. But yeah, very excited about that. We're gonna ask him all the things we ask about the state of the game, what's happening with the Wallabies, how he's going over there. I believe he's a bit of a cricket fan as well, so hopefully we can delve into that. So special episode dropping either Tuesday or Wednesday, but we'll confirm that.
Oh, surely he's got to back me on the drop goals. We need more drop goals in
Possibly.
Australia.
He's a Wallaby captain, mate. We like scoring tries.
Well, it doesn't really go well for the Wallabies. 99 was the last time they won?
The World Cup? Yes.
So if I do my maths, we're in 2021. So that's a very long time.
Yeah, there's only been, if I recall correctly, 3 teams have won since then. So
we'll see.
Fair enough, but that's exciting. Big rugby guest coming. On to the results from the weekend. Super Rugby, Rebels 10 defeated the Force 7. Rebels got over twice. And we're back in the fan zone because I missed this game, so I reached out to a Perth feaster, a good mate of mine, who was at the game, gave us a synopsis. He's a bit of a cricket tragic as well, still in his late 30s, plying his grade cricket trade, but he's a huge footy fan. So he gave us a little synopsis, and it reads, a pretty dour struggle from 2 teams trying to prove they can match Queensland and ACT, but lacking the polish of those sides. Both the Rebels' tries were sparked by individual brilliance, and the handling for the Force try was top shelf. The Force threw away multiple penalty goal chances to draw or win, reminiscent of Michael Hooper leading the Wallabies in the 2020. So, tight game there, obviously, and both sides look like they had chances to win, and the Rebels get it done.
Power outage.
Yes, and a chant went up, or the murmurs at the ground were, get Twiggy to pay the power bill, was what went round apparently. So, interesting there. The Reds have taken care of the Brumbies with a come-behind victory, 40-38. This is massive for the Reds because I think everyone had the Brumbies slightly ahead, breaking a bunch of hoodoos. The Brumbies hadn't lost they'd won 17 of the last 18 games at home, so that's a big break there. Harry Wilson, for me, becoming an absolute superstar. He's already a Wallaby, so he's a big name, but the way, I don't know if you saw the try that Vunivalu scored down the right, the way Harry Wilson linked with the back line is great for Australian rugby because that's what they've been missing. The multi-skill players in the forwards being able to do things at the back do, the way Kieran Reid does it for the All Blacks, the way the South African back row does it. It's good to see that that Harry Wilson's doing it. Vunivalu, question mark for me. He had a decent game. He came off his wing.
Did he pass or fail?
Give him a pass. It's his first game. Good try he scored. He came off his wing in Pete Samu's second try. Very league-esque. O'Connor was sliding. Vunivalu didn't trust the slide. Came in, draw and pass over. Got to fix that up. I'm sure the coaches will all be over that one. And the last one too. Do you see the final try, Richard? The winning try? The Pasami kick. Now, it's very hard to ridicule someone for putting in a kick where they score and win the game. But if that kick doesn't come off and the Brumbies secure the ball, go deep and the Reds lose, do you know how much heat I'd be putting on Pasami now?
You got to back your instincts, and that's what he did.
I'm not sure it's the right play.
Trust your talent.
I'm not sure it's the right play. So, Pasami, you're getting mad raps from me right now, but the heat will come if you do that again and it doesn't come off. But a good win overall. Reds and Brumbies look like they're ahead of the pack there.
And obviously, New South Wales Waratahs, great win against the bye.
Exactly. Won't run through the Six Nations results there. The only game of note was England defeating France 23-20.
Late try.
Yeah, late try in 73rd minute. That's good. The ladder reads Wales 19, France on 10. They're the only two teams that can win it. And Wales are away to France this weekend. So, pub's full and buy that person a beer, Richard. You're going full positive
I'm
this
just going
week.
one positive.
Let me get the negative out of the way because I had heaps of them.
I know you did.
Pub's full. The street is full right here. Jesse Ramian, the dog shot on Dufty. You can't be doing that. The main pub's full I've got is... Did you see the New South Wales Cup game, between North Sydney Bears and Blacktown?
Well, that was Joseph Suwali, which we'll be covering in the poll.
So Suwali, but I'm talking about Matt Ikuvalu.
He's the guy who scored 5 tries for the Roosters last year.
Okay.
Winger being sent off.
So, yes. So he got sent off.
Yes.
Is that what you saw? Did you see how and what happened?
You're about to tell us.
Yeah. So he was the ball carrier and someone was holding him down and in an effort to get up quickly, he pulled on the jersey. The guy put his arm out on the ground to stop himself going down and his arm snapped. So it was ugly scene. No one wants to see it. He got sent off for a chicken wing. He pulled on a jersey. It is some of the worst refereeing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know who was responsible. I don't know if it was a video ref. I don't know if it was a touch judge. I don't know if it was the man in the middle.
It was a Fox Sports game.
So. How do you send someone off for pulling on someone's jersey? It's literally not a law, pulling on a jersey.
I think you'll find it was more so to do with we have to penalise this person as to the maximum because someone just completely...
Well, no, you can... But this is what I'm talking about. You need composure in the moment. You can give away a penalty against the ball carrier for holding onto the defender. But you don't send him off for a chicken win when there's no chicken win and it's clearly an accident. Yet you've got people like Jesse Ramian getting 10 in the bin for a cheap shot to the back of the head. It's too far out of whack. The officiating crew in that game, pub's full.
Interesting. Well, I'm just going to be positive.
I've got a positive too. Go away.
You might as well.
No, you go. I need time to compose myself.
Compose yourself?
Composure myself.
Samantha Kurt, fantastic Matildas and Australian soccer legend.
Yes.
So she's playing for Chelsea at the moment in England. And they had the League Cup Grand Final. They played Bristol City. They won 6-0. Sam Kerr scored a hattie. And she does a backflip. So she's an absolute weapon. Greatest advocate for Australian football, I'd say, as a whole, because essentially there's been times where she has been the best player in the world.
Yes.
So she's a gun, scored a hat-trick. They won 6-0, as I said, so she gets a beer from me. So congratulations, Sam Kerr.
Well done, Richard. The person getting a beer from me is Adam Scott. Now, he was playing in the Players' Championship this week. Do you know the Island Green, Richard?
Not very well.
The 17th, it's basically, as it sounds, an Island Green. It's very short. There's a couple of tiers to it, and sometimes the pin's tucked behind certain spots or on different levels, so it's quite a tricky hole. Probably the most intimidating shot in golf. Adam Scott, the first 3 rounds, went birdie, 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 and his combined distance that he had to putt across those 3 birdies? You want the number? Guess.
10 feet.
No, lower.
6.
5.9, 5 foot 9 inches.
Wow.
So he's been absolutely dialing in, and that's a record. The next closest in the history of the game for 3 balls on that course was Retief Goosen at 16 feet. So Adam Scott dialing in. Don't want to put this in there, but he put his 4th round, he put it in the drink.
I was going to say, was it in the drink?
He was dialing in because that's the one they tuck right on the right. But Adam Scott, that's some phenomenal golf on a really tricky hole, so you're getting a beer from me.
Lovely.
Richard, huge show.
Yeah, it was. And Feasters, I mentioned this before, so our poll question on Tuesday will be in short. Joseph Sawali has been approved to play Rugby League NRL prior to his 18th birthday. Do you agree or disagree with the decision? Should he be allowed to play, because he's not 18 at the moment, should he be allowed to play Rugby League at the highest level before the age of 18?
Happy for him to play, not happy about the decision.
We'll cover that on Thursday. It's a massive Thursday episode because we've got AFL to preview. Obviously, another weekend of NRL, EPL, horse racing.
It's going to be huge, yep. The Golden Slipper and a range of other Group 1s there at Rose Hill. Should be exciting.
Feasters, have a great weekend. Ciao for now.
Stay hungry.